rookies in the back row here?
Yeah, they're my interns.
That's the first question?
Yeah.
Go ahead, what do you got?
We don't like to be put on the spot. Good luck.
I wish every day was that easy. Every day was that easy.
Peter Yager today said he would like to be here next year. Any reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you're talking about a terrific hockey player, somebody who's come in here and provided terrific leadership, work ethic. Really enjoyed having him here. The way he's played the game, I think, speaks for itself, but anytime a player says that.
And he also says that he's willing to come back on a one-year contract, willing to come back where he doesn't necessarily want the biggest money, which is something that could help the organization maybe get another player. Is that nice hearing that about a veteran guy who's going to be a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I mean, that he's back here, I stay out of all that stuff, but the fact that he wants to come back here, I think it's good to hear.
One of the things that he said about it, Peter, was that he's really happy. It's the locker room is what he is better than he thought it was going to be.
He seems like he's been enjoying his time back here. There's a lot of smiling coming from him. His play on the ice, I think, shows that. But you don't see him all the time behind, in practice. Works every day. He's happy. He's happy.
One of the
he's enjoying it.
What I was going to ask you was, do you feel like your relationship with him has kind of made him feel that way? It's worked that way a little bit?
I said this before and seemed to get myself in a little bit of trouble. But all relationships, I think you work on. I don't think that they happen overnight. And you continually work at it. Guys that have been here, since I first started, the guys that remain, obviously your relationship continues to build. A guy like Hartsey who's been here, Danny Briere or Chemo, there's more time and there's more to it. Since Yarmir has been here, I think our relationship has been good, and we continue to work on that.
He also talked about how, with you specifically, when they struggled a little bit, that you said, okay, guys, you might need to be stepping up a little bit, but there's been absolutely no panic, and he thought that was a great thing coming from a coach, that there's no talk of tearing apart the first line because of a few games.
I think we try to, I think as a staff, we try to hang on to things before we try not to have any knee-jerk reactions to something. I think his line has been terrific for the majority of the year. And through the course of the season, a player or a line or a power play or a team get into a funk once in a while. It's the job I think it's the job of the coaching staff to try and help players get out of the funk. And I don't necessarily know that changing things that have been working so well is always the answer. I think sometimes that's more of a knee-jerk reaction. So we've tried to keep the power play units the same. It's tough because of injury. We've tried to keep the lines the same. We find ourselves in a good position in the course of the regular season here in the standings. We can get better. We find ourselves in a good spot, and we do have what we think is chemistry with certain lines and certain players. And sometimes you just need to let things settle in and work themselves out.
The fact that he's going to be 40 plus than a month, and he still is good players, is that maybe the most amazing thing that you don't realize? He says he doesn't feel like he's 40 because you guys are you know how hard it is to be a player, especially as you get older.
Yeah, you really wouldn't know the way he trains and the way he practices, his attitude. I think sometimes he is what he wants to make it to be. He doesn't do all this. He's a coach. He doesn't come to practice like that. He doesn't go the first days off, or he doesn't use that as a triumph. It's actually the exact opposite. He's been a terrific influence on our young players, grabbing them after practice and getting them extra work, or up and out, coming back to the ring, for some extra work, or just having his experience in the locker room. You wouldn't know he's closing in on that number, and he doesn't play that card.
He also mentioned how he thinks part of the reason he's been successful at age 40 is because he grew up in a family where there was no alcohol. And he says he's watched a lot of guys who were great players, their careers were over by the time they were 30 because that he doesn't take care of himself. Do you think there's something to that this guy's, not only does he take care of himself, but he doesn't put things in his body bad for him?
Well, I definitely think that there's, that plays into who he is as a person and why he's had success. You're talking about, you're really talking about one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And that's how he's trained, and that's what he's believed in, and it's worked for him.
Different topic. Your impressions of Gus so far since he came back? He said he was unhappy with his first game back. He said
Well,
he did
I thought just the first period, and you gotta give him some time. He comes back and trains all summer, has a great training camp, comes in, he looks great. You have an injury, a surgery, you have problems with players when that happens, and they're out for an extended period of time. I think especially young players in a tough position, which defense is for young players. I think you come back and maybe are trying to feel that back out and get your game back going. It really, for me, only took a period. The first period, I thought, you could, but after that, he seemed to gain confidence in the second and the third. Last game, I thought he was real with the puck, like his head was up. He made a couple of quick steps or a couple of quick moves, and he made a good outlet pass. He looked strong last game.
Coach, Bob's unbeaten against the Islanders, in a game. Do you ever do credence to that, or is it more just a fluky thing? I've seen one guy just so dominant against another team.
Well, he's back in there.
Well, I didn't want to come out and ask what your stars.
Well, so I announced it this morning.
Okay.
Yeah. Typical in the morning.
So it was just strictly based on Bob's.
Well, we looked at the two games coming up between Minnesota and the Islanders and one. I mean, if we wanted to just lob into a team, it made sense to go with the Islanders where he's had some success.
Thanks, Peter.